Cynthia Monteleone. Animal-based protein is superior to carbs for Olympic athletes and for everyone. Be sure to see Cynthia's book, Fast Over 40.
I give them an analysis and then I just start picking apart what they could do better according to what's worked for my clients and in my experience and my knowledge and what I've learned. With steak, carnitine transports fatty acids, right? So another good reason to have steak. And
carnitine, carnosine, creatine.
Yes.
I mean, it's like the list goes on and on.
Yeah, and they're just shuttling those fatty acids for fuel. My husband and I coached the #1 female wrestler in the nation last year, or this year she won it. And I did the strength coaching and nutrition. He did the wrestling coaching along with his other coaches at the high school. But she was specifically really under our wing. And if she had a 2-day tournament, she had to make weight the next day by eating the carbohydrates. She's risking holding those couple grams of water with it and then maybe not making her weight the next day. So we had her totally steak adapted. She was firing totally off of grass-fed beef.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And of course some nuts too, for some fats. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And would she have any like high glycemic carbs before?
Not really, no.
Wow.
Not especially not day 1 because she had to come back for day 2. They have to wrestle several times, several matches to make it to the finals. So maybe 3 matches day 1, 3 matches day 2.
Wow.
It's very intense.
That is
Wrestling
intense.
is a really, really hard sport. I have a lot of respect for wrestlers,
Right.
which is why I love working with them. The crash is really important to talk about because for me personally, when I'm racing, I don't want that crash to come. So if I'm having a high carbohydrate breakfast and then a couple hours later I have to run, I don't want that crash to come right before I have to run. Right. It's like I see people on a roller coaster of emotion on race day. And I think one of the reasons why myself and my clients, why we remain so calm and we have more eustress, not distress, but we change that to eustress. We're excited to compete. We're not nervous. It's because hey, we've got the B12 and the folate supporting our myelin sheaths. So our nerves are great. All of that really makes sense as to why I don't feel nervous anymore, which is something that did happen to me in college. I would feel very nervous and the anxiety would take over and it would deplete my energy and I wouldn't have that available for my race. But now I'm like happy, I'm excited, I'm calm.
We've all seen what happens when kids have a bunch of sugar, they get amped up and then they crash and then it's just like this vicious cycle. And you can really almost see just like if someone paid you $10 and said, okay, this kid is fat adapted or eats real food and this kid eats a bunch of sugar, like which one is it? You can almost pick it out in a crowd of kids because the behavior is so much more, even keeled. And some people talk about the heart rate variability improving with, being squashing down your glycemic variability and having more ketones.
You've met my daughter, she's gonna be 16, but when she was 11, the hormones started. And everyone says, oh my gosh, girls, when they're preteen and teen, they're a handful. But what I found at age 11 was if she started to have an emotional, like you kind of go, what is happening right now? Where is this coming from, this emotion? Of course, it's coming from her hormones. But if I put a protein shake in her hand, whey protein, and sent her to her room, I would time it. 8 minutes later, she would be a different person. She'd be fine because it was stabilizing her blood sugar. Everything was much more calm. As we age, I believe that sprinting and eating this way is great for hormone balance too. Right. Why? Well, I'm a big fan of Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who you've had on, and she's right. Building muscle mass is perfect for managing hormones. Plant-based proteins, oh man, I've seen them wreck kids.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So I'm not a fan of plant-based proteins at all.
Even an organic, non-GMO pea protein, for example, not they're all bad, but they can bioaccumulate heavy metals. And so you can get residual arsenic or cadmium or lead, and you don't see that to the same extent in a high-quality grass-fed way. So
right, and what is that doing? That's depleting your zinc because the zinc's competing for the same receptors. And as we know, zinc's encoded in our DNA. We need it for everything, and especially now during these, pandemic times.
In working with Olympic athletes, Cynthia has found that having them diet with steak has the benefits of having carnitine, carnosine, and creatine, which transport fatty acids for fuel. She and her husband worked with the #1 female wrestler in the nation last year. She was totally steak adapted with a few nuts for fats. They emphasize eustress rather than distress. Being steak adapted allows them to be excited to compete but not nervous. It has B12 and folate, so myelin sheets to protect nerves. Carbs lead to crash and roller coaster of emotions. Kids amped up on sugar have all of this energy and then crash. If they were fat adapted, they would be much more even keeled, and the heart rate variability would be less. For example, Cynthia's daughter at 11, when she was having a hormone-driven emotional event, Cynthia would give her a whey protein shake. Within 8 minutes, she would be fine. As we age, sprinting and eating high animal protein are great for hormone balance. Cynthia agrees with Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. Building muscle mass is perfect for managing hormones. Plant-based protein, Cynthia is not a fan at all. Due to the concentration needed, these can bioaccumulate heavy metals such as arsenic, cadmium, and lead, and these compete with zinc, which is critical to our health.